this is new data that I want to share with you. This is for the first time. This data was recently collected and processed, and there's going to be a paper coming out of it on this in one of the major pharmaceutical journals. I can't give details because it didn't come out yet, but here's the data. I already can share it. So we compared a translucent liquid nanoemulsion and a powdered nanoemulsion of delta 8 THC. Do you guys know what delta 8 THC is? Yeah? So it basically acts like THC, but it's legal because there's a farm bill that kind of lets you go around whatever made delta 9 illegal. It's not a Schedule 1. It's an unscheduled substance. So we compared the nanoemulsion, the liquid nanoemulsion, the powdered nanoemulsion, with MCT oil solution, which is how a lot of people, I would say most people, when they consume it digestively, that's how they do it. This is a pharmacokinetic study, which means we're studying the timing and the efficiency, basically, of how this arrives in your bloodstream. So, the blue line is MCT oil solution. Now, this study was made in a way that maximizes the bioavailability, which is how much you're going to bring into the bloodstream, regardless of when. It's just how much is going to arrive there versus go to waste. So we did it on with the subjects on the full stomach, which makes edibles hit you harder. I think anyone who's ever had an edible knows that if you have to eat something fatty. There's a reason for it. I'll explain why that is. But if you eat something fatty, then it hits you a lot more than if you didn't. So this study was done in kind of the worst case scenario for nanoemulsions, because we wanted like an honest test that we can report in a proper way. So the blue line is MCT oil solution. Now, you can see that for the first 2 hours, there's absolutely nothing. This is the vertical is the concentration in the bloodstream. So for, I would say, almost 3 hours, there's nothing. But after about 2 hours, you can start to feel it. This was on rats, by the way. It's a preclinical trial. Okay, so the timing is not exactly like it would be for humans, but the relative measurement, comparing one thing to another, is relevant. Now, this maximizes after 6 hours. And it's important to point out that if it's a bioactive that's going to do something, for example, something medicinal, think of, I don't know, Tylenol or Advil. Your head hurts, you take it, and it works 6 hours later. That's not gonna be very good for you. You want the effect to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, okay, at least to start. And then you want it to be at its maximum in half an hour, 40 minutes or so. Because otherwise, it defeats the purpose. And you want it to last for a reasonable period of time, 2-3 hours maybe. And then, well, if you need another one, you can take another one. But the problem with this kind of timing is not only is it super delayed, but it also is very inconsistent. It depends on what you ate, when you ate, details of basically your microenvironment in the digestive tract. And another thing that happens, especially with cannabis consumers, is you take an edible, an hour and a half later, you feel like you didn't take enough. And you take another one. But then it turns out that you took enough. It's just not there yet. And then both doses arrive 6 hours later, and then you're somewhere in space. Now, you want to be able to titrate your dose. That's what you do with alcohol. I mean, if you know how to stop. Not everybody does, but at least they have the information that they would need to stop. That's their decision. So, nanoemulsions. The green is the powder, reconstituted in water. Same dose, obviously, for all three. Green is the powder, the red is the liquid, and you can see that about 10 minutes later, even less, I think it was something like 6.5 minutes, it's clearly detectable, you can feel it. Half an hour later or so, it's at the maximum. Then it stays for about 2.5 hours, let's say, maybe 3 hours. After that, it goes out. 6 hours later, it's gone. So you can titrate your dose, and you can receive the benefit, whatever it is that you took it for, in a reasonable amount of time. Specifically, within the first hour, which is what you want, nanoemulsions outperform MCT oil solution, basically outperform a traditional digestive administration method, anatable, by a factor of 19 and 16 or 15 and a half or so for powders and liquids, nanoemulsions. Even within the first 4 hours, it's 4 and 3.5 times greater. Just for the sense of perspective. So,
Theater 2, booth 55.